You know, some people say that Westport's a quiet, laid-back sort of place. Other people say it's noisy, busy, fast-paced. Still others will tell you that it's all TV and movie stars or artsy-craftsy. And yet some people say Westport's a real hometown, or that it's business-oriented. But there's one thing on which everybody agrees. Westport is never dull.
Take a look around you at all the beauty that's around you. Something special happens when you open up your eyes. Westport's got a spirit, something for everybody. It only takes a minute and you will realize that Westport's got it all. On every face at Arnie's place you can see a smile bright as day. Westport's got it all. At Staples High, walk on by, you can see something special.
We came here because we were so near New York, and the town was very small then. My mother even wondered, how can you go to a place like that? It's so quiet.
The beach, the woods, the trees, the greenery, the snow and the seasons and the rest of it. It's not just an ordinary commuting bedroom community. It is a community unto itself, with a life all its own, and a style and a manner all its own, which happily is very close to New York City. And of course, this is an irresistible combination.
We felt this was a wonderful place to bring up our children. It certainly turned out to be just that.
Westport, from the first day I saw it, has been a very special town. It has a lot of the sophistication you connect with New York. It has the exuberance of a California town and the character of a quaint New England village. All of this is wrapped in a wonderful sense of humor. I think we've always been able to laugh at ourselves as a town, and I think that's very important in people and in communities.
Westport first came to my attention in the pages of Time magazine back in the 1950s, just before I moved east. They had a story about a review which had a song in it called "I Caught Her in the Kitchen Playing Westport." It sounded interesting. When we got here, I couldn't find any of that. But I did discover you could charge money at the old Charles Market on Main Street. You'd stop in, sign a slip, and they'd give you $10. It came in pretty handy in those days. I still borrow money now, larger sums, more formally, and I'm still here.
Westport's strengths are its people. Artists, playwrights, cops, firefighters, the people walking up and down Main Street, the shopkeepers. Its people are unique. They work in New York, they work in Westport. Their difference lies in their awareness of the world around them. There is nothing that goes on in this town that people are not concerned about. For every issue, there's got to be at least 10 sides.
It's a town of people who are well educated. They are not afraid to fight for almost anything that they feel is worth fighting about.
To take such action as the meeting may determine to ratify...
Westport has more experts per capita than most other places.
We do have a lot of individuals who feel that their view must sustain in any given situation.
First selectman in a town like this, where everybody's got an opinion, had better have an open mind.
I get more mail than any other legislator in the capital. You can't send a form letter to anybody in Westport because they're all chiefs. There isn't an Indian in the place. Most people who send out a questionnaire are pleased if they get a 1 or 2% return. I get a 10% return. And not only do I get a 10% return, but people just don't check off the answers. They write around the borders, they turn it over, they write a dissertation on the back, or they staple 2 or 3 pages more of comments. They want to make sure that I know exactly how they feel about things. They're big mouths, but I love that because you know what they care about.
We don't have the bitterness that seems to prevail in many other communities. Oh, yeah, we go through the hassle of the elections, but once the election is over, we settle into a climate If we got a job to do, let's do the job, and on the basis of what's best for the town and the town citizenry.
They can be on opposite sides of an issue with their friends on one day and on the same side the next. They can be fighting with each other like cats and dogs at a town meeting and go to dinner afterwards.
One of the charms of Westport is that it had this mix of lifestyles and age groups and interests and people. And it seems that we're very rapidly becoming the Beverly Hills of the East.
Reaction to Westport is that it's a fun place to live. I mean, all the controversy is fun, as well as all the things that go on. There's just so much going on.
I tell you, the town of Westport has my respect.
We came to town in 1919, and all the roads were dirt roads. There's a horse car that took you down to Campo or the railroad station, followed this, unhitched his horse and put it around the other end and pulled it back again. Corner of Taylor Place and the Post Road was a hardware store. The store was heated by a great big pot-belly stove in the middle of it. And this is where the politics of Westport was carried on pretty much. And Longshore, I can't stop to talk about Longshore. When I was first selected, when the report came in that Longshore was going to be for sale, and the owner of the plant insisted that if the town was serious about this thing, that they would have to, before the end of that month, and it was 17 days, get up a deposit on the sale of the place.
Well, the town did manage to get that money together and on time, and Westport got a recreational facility that's out of this world.
Longshore is a terrific place. There's something for everyone in the family.
I used to live in Atlanta, and when I came up here, I was really, I guess the word's pessimistic about it not being good. But I gave it a chance, and I got in the sailing program at Longshore, and I got into some tennis over there, and, you know, the whole idea of a free country club.
My 3 children went to beach school.
Beach school is a real lot of fun. We play games and we also learn how to swim.
We swim all year round down at the Y on the swim team.
We have a real lot of soccer in Westport. I get to play a lot because I'm pretty good at it.
My teacher was really nice to me. He knew I wasn't an athletic person. If I had any trouble at all, he'd say, sit out, take your time. If you want to come back in, it's your option. It's up to you. I never got that in my old school. No way.
Boy, 5, go!
One of the greatest citizen campaigns that has ever taken place in Connecticut was the drive to save Bikini Island from becoming the site of a nuclear power plant. And as soon as we opened it, we knew we had touched a nerve, and the whole community became involved. We had really fantastic talent. These are our next-door neighbors, and they're willing to contribute their talents when they feel there's a need.
Westport has a mystique, and it has a magic. Maybe it's the artists and writers who live here. It's not your typical suburban community in the eyes of the outside world.
And I'll be deeply grateful to the citizens of Westport who have posed for me. In fact, I counted some of the people in my many covers, and I think I got up to about 789 individual people. That doesn't count the dogs, chickens, and horses that I've used too.
I don't think you could have an arts council such as ours is in all places.
We now have an office in Town Hall, and it has become a very active organization with over 1,500 members.
Our halls are full of art, much of it by Westport artists. We have the Westport Community Theater, and these are things that make it an exciting place to be.
In Westport, a really beautiful art center. It is a place where we have painters, sculptors, photographers. It is for all the artists in town. The Theater Artists Workshop is a place in which actors and playwrights particularly can try out new things. It's where we can work alone without fear of the public seeing us if we're not good enough.
Yeah, we established that that's the outside. So you go out there and you're upstairs. I'm just going to sit up here.
Billy will know there's something wrong with you if he sees you dressed like that.
Is Billy here?
You're never dressed up on the weekend, not when Billy...
Tonight, One for the Tango opens at the Westport Country Playhouse, starring Leslie and...
Well, the Playhouse building is an old tanning factory. They did tremendous things throughout the years, and it has made, in my judgment, a tremendous contribution to theater as a whole. But in Westport, it became almost a national institution.
Human touch. There's a frailty, there's a vulnerability in the character and in the play. Okay, Ernie.
The school system brings many people into town because they have extraordinary aspirations for what their children can achieve in the school system.
Okay, Billy, would you roll your die, please?
I think the school system is unique because the people in town are unique. They think education is important. They're willing to pay for it.
From my point of view as the superintendent, it's probably one of the most vital places that one could hope to work.
231. Okay, does anyone have higher than 231? What have you got, Michael?
I got 321.
321.
I was thinking going with a prep school, and if I did, I'd never have the opportunities I have here. Like, I'm in the players at Staples. I play 3 varsity sports. I just feel like I have a lot of opportunity here.
There was a lot going on at Staples, and I worked on the Staples governing board, and I saw a lot of active people, a lot of teachers and parents and getting involved. I go to Harvard now, and I think that Staples was excellent preparation for getting into Harvard and for doing well there.
The Westport school system is nationally known for its programs, certainly for drama and for the music programs. I mean, that Christmas concert every year is just a great event for so many of us, and it's a gift to the town and a gift from the town.
The greatest time this year I've ever had in my life, and I've shown myself that I got a lot of talent that's been hidden all my life, and Staples has just shown it to me.
You can see this robin is pretty hungry because it thinks that my finger is a worm. Anna, would you like to come up and help me do this?
Sure.
Okay, okay. If you hold the tweezers like that, pick up a worm with the tweezers. Let's dip it in some water first. Give him some water. Okay, now bring it near one of the birds and he'll open his mouth. These little fellows have been...
I don't think that any community can survive as a vibrant, livable entity without an infusion of young people to keep the community on its toes.
I was born and brought up in Westport. It was great. But I'm starting to outgrow our house. Now I'm working 2 jobs. I work about 90 hours a week just to keep my head above water so that I can remain living in Westport.
There have to be apartments.
I'm for the proposals right now that are suggesting doing things like, breaking up the schools into apartments for both senior citizens and for younger adults. I'd like to see that happen.
I think Canal Park has demonstrated clearly that low-income housing can be extremely attractive. People care very much about where they're living, and there's a wonderful spirit of togetherness there. Out of the 50 units, there are something like 35 in which people have planted little gardens, and it's beautifully done.
I was born in the town of Westport, in a little area down southeast of here, known as Green's Farms. Way back, 83 and a half years ago. We never yet found a place that we liked like home. This is home.
I work in lots of different places, but I call Westport my home. Of course, sometimes I have to work at home.
I'm very excited about the way Westport is today. We have a culmination of many of the things that have made Westport great. The time of the 150th birthday, the way people pitched in.
Italian festival, and it was a lot of fun. They have great food there, all different kinds, Italian, seafood, ice cream, popcorn, cotton candy. And there were lots and lots and lots of rides there.
When is it coming back?
The real Westport is children going off to school, illness in families, people who have perhaps bought over their heads and are now very house poor and have to sell. Westport is not unlike other communities in the rate of divorce or separation. We do have our latchkey children as more and more parents are going out to work. We have all of what every other American community has. Perhaps some of it is quieter than other communities, but we have it all. It's a very loving community in many ways.
Come back.
And beyond. Chanel, I just wanted to tell you that
there's so many charitable impulses in Westport that you could almost spend half your time, at least, being associated with them one way or another.
Force of people in the community who care about the shut-ins and the older people and the people who have less, perhaps, than the rest. The temple groups and church groups also. The Women's Club, very quietly giving food. It's done because it has to be done, and it's done well.
The people who work for this town are absolutely phenomenal. Their level of professionalism and caring is way above what I think any other community has.
EMS. Extent of injuries?
The Volunteer Emergency Medical Service is really a wonderful group. There's just not enough that I can say about these people for what they do for the town of Westport. But they're just so dedicated. They're always there when you need them.
Oh, right now I'm at the Levitt Pavilion at the Band Against Hunger, and I think that Levitt's unreal, you know. I think it's something that most people just, you know, never get to have, or, you know, there's always something going on at the Levitt. I don't know how you could describe it, but it's priceless entertainment, you know, for the entire summer.
People bring their picnics and eat on the grass, you know, bring their blankets and their beach chairs and then relax and listen to the music under the stars.
My baby's non-committal. Don't want to make up. Don't want to break up. Oh, my baby's non-committal. She's got me in the middle of the game, and she's like a riddle.
We are a center. We draw people into town to go to the theater, to go to the movies, to go to the art, music, Levitt Pavilion, and the whole bit. And they create traffic jams, and they create crowdedness. But that is the attraction of Westport.
It's like the hub of a great wheel that spreads all over the world. Westport is the center.
Mother's Day, woo, song, honey. Mama went away for Mother's Day. Where she went, she didn't say.
The post road is a disaster, but then every town has its post road, and you just live with that.
The fact is that this post road looks much, much better than most post roads or comparable roads anywhere in the country.
Many years ago, we decided we would not permit heavy industry in the town. Because of that, we have now become probably the nation's capital as far as marketing is concerned.
The commercialization has really changed the character of the town.
The commercialization, I think, is good and bad. As far as I'm concerned, it means I don't have to go to New York to buy shoes and to buy whatever else I want. It means I can do it all here, and I would rather do it here. Not only do I not waste time, but I would rather spend my money where I live.
When we first moved here, there were only a few restaurants. However, my goodness, in the last 10 years, the restaurants have proliferated like mad, and there is a tremendous selection. Something to suit every taste and every pocketbook available in Westport.
You need the change, you need the progress, you need the modern conveniences, but at the same time, you're very reluctant to let go of what there was.
Well, I've lived here for 22 years. My kids grew up here, and I'm not going to move now.
Westport is a lot of things to different people, and that's what makes it so exciting. This is a community where you are respected for whatever you like. There are no pressures on you to be something you don't wish to be.
You can dress any way you like. You can be anyone you want to be, and it's perfectly acceptable. That's the uniqueness of this community.
I just think this is such an interested, generous, gregarious, outgoing town, full of people with good intentions.
And we are obviously a very articulate community. I like that about this town.
Well, I always thought it was a very beautiful location and had a great sense of place.
I love the way the river cuts through the center, and you can hear the gulls every now and then, even when you live inland.
Westport is a celebrity community. And I mean by that, it's a celebrity in itself. I don't mean it just houses celebrities. People like to name drop Westport. You find a character and color all of its own.
It is vibrant, it's alive.
Westport is a very dynamic community.
The way that we who live here enjoy the town is apparent to people who visit, and that sense of community is something that brings them here.
One of the best moves we ever made was to come to Westport. All our kids were nurtured by it, so were we.
Westport's really fun.
What would a kid want other than what's already here?
You have the best of all worlds here.
I love it. I've loved it from the first minute I came here.
It's always been my home, and I just love it.
No, I think Westport is a wonderful place to live.
I cannot think of any place else I'd rather live than Westport.
The Westport area. It's just a tremendous place. We're all very lucky to be here. I believe that very sincerely.
Happy birthday, Westport. You're a great town.
Take a look around you at all the beauty that surrounds you. Something special happens when you open up your eyes. Westport's got a spirit, something for everybody. It only takes a minute and you will realize that Westport's got it all. On every face at Arnie's place, you can see a smile bright as day. Westport's got it all. At Staples High, walk on by, you can see something special. Something special here for everyone. The Levitt Pavilion, so much to do. Kids hanging out at the Dairy Queen or the Hobie Cat races. You know it's true, yeah. Know it's true, yeah. Westport's got it all. It's a summertime on Cockle Beach for you, yeah, yeah. And you know that's not all. The Hunt Club, the Playhouse, Westport's got it all. Westport's got it all. For 25 years, the Longshore's going